Hello, John Burley here. We're going live on Facebook. A lot of people have been reaching out to me in the last several weeks wanting to know what's going on and what my thoughts are in the market, so I thought I'd share with them. Let's just start out all out right off the top. Whole bunch of stuff going on right now. People talking about the market is shifting and the market is shifting and people talking about doom and gloom and we're going to have 2008 all over again. So let's start right at the top. The market is not shifting. The market has already shifted. Last couple of weeks I've been out. I've looked at several hundred properties. I've talked to builders. I've talked to brokers. I've talked to salespeople. We've talked to lenders, title companies. Volumes are dropping way, way off, but the main thing that's in the market right now is fear. Now, most of the charts and graphs, and I love the charts and graph people, and I love their information and their data. Most of that data is months, and in some cases, years behind. In fact, in the last crash, they had said the optimum bottom date in Phoenix was August 2011. Actually, we had better deals in the fourth quarter 8, all of 9, and all of 10 than the actual bottom, which was August of 11. But they didn't know it was the bottom until 2014 because you don't know after when the bottom of the trough is. So let me just say right now, the emotion throughout the market is fear. Some markets are already seeing the downturns. Some markets, the downturns are just starting or coming, but the market emotion is fear. Wall Street's already washed out, which means massive amounts of cash have gone into cash. They've left the equity markets, which means they're available for us to place, because the big thing we do is we talk about, look, real estate's super, super easy if you have money and super hard if it's not. Most seminars that I've been to, starting in the late 70s, so literally for 40 years I'm going to seminars, and they all sound about the same. I'm not kidding. Seminars I've seen in 2022 basically are no different than seminars I went to 40 years ago. The entire event is how we can avoid dealing with the problem of we absolutely and positively need money to do real estate deals. That's just how it is. And it's like how we can do subject tos and online deals, and super fancy creative deals and owner financing and all these ways to avoid having money to buy deals. Or how we can do assignment of contract or novations or flip without any money. Which, of course, the result of that last piece is across America there's been legislation, which doesn't have a lot of teeth in it yet most places, but some places does. All kinds of legislation on how we stop people from doing that because so many people don't perform and hurt so many people. So let's jump into the market and where we're at today and what's going to happen. So first of all, I see all kinds of people say it's going to be 2008 all over again. And I say, great, show me your information. And they start pulling out charts and graphs. And it's like, okay, you want to pull out charts and graphs, let's pull out the big ones. U.S. has real estate charts that go back to 1765. There are global charts that go back 6,000 years. This is not like a new phenomenon that's just occurring. United States of America, 1765 is our first chart. We had our first big crash. We had our first 2008, if you will, in the 1790. Well, what had happened? Revolutionary War. The country was insolvent. We were broke. 1790, there was a big crash. The next big crash occurred in the early 1870s, following the Civil War. So like 80 years. The next crash, a lot of people said 1929. It was technically 1932. So, wow. 1870, 32, 60 years. And the next one was 2008. Again, 70 plus years. See, the big crashes, going back to our chart to 1765, there's been 4. That's it. 4. And if you go back on the global charts, which first go into, for us, into the United Kingdom, England and all that, and those go back to about 1100, and then you roll before that and you go into, Rome, where you go back a couple thousand years before Jesus, then you go back into Greece, which goes like 4,000 years, then you go into Asia and Eastern Europe and the Middle East, and they have charts going back 6,000 years. These big crashes actually are 60 to 80 year events that you can see. So I always love the naivete or the ignorance or just the shamming and flim-flamming of these people who want to use charts to show us that the next big crash is tomorrow. Because it's not. Could a big crash happen right now in the next year? Of course. However, it's highly improbable, the first reason being that they happen every 60 to 80 years, going back for the entire history of the world. That's a pretty good chart. Now, equity markets have a tendency to trend upwards. And they go through 4 normal cycles. They go through growth, prosperity, recession, depression, over and over and over and over again, over and over and over and over again. Normally, they're 10 to 14-year cycles. Sometimes it happens as fast as 8. Sometimes they run out 18, 20 years. Generally, if they run out longer, they get a little high, and then they come down. And then every 60 to 80 years, we get a big one where there's a big correction. So, I love charts and I love graphs, but you can't pick and choose the ones you do to slant the story to what you want to sell to people. The doomsday people, one thing in common. They're all selling you something, and it's rarely a solution. So the first thing is the awareness. Number one, highly unlikely we have a 2008 coming. The first dynamic happening is it only happened every 60 to 80 years in the history of mankind. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen. Highly improbable. The next thing. The market's already shifted, but let's talk about Wall Street. Wall Street is a huge, huge player and an integrator in all equity markets throughout the entire planet, but we'll keep this on a U.S. model. In the United States of America, last cycle, Wall Street is in primarily and predominantly in 2 ways. Number one is they are the largest buyer and underwriter of conforming loans. Conforming loans only means this. The loan is insured, and in the VA only, the VA loans, the loan is guaranteed by the federal government. So your FHA, your HUD, your Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, USDA, et cetera, all those programs are insured by the federal government, which means the investor who buys the loan cannot lose unless the United States fails. And yet, you conspiracy guys, just go run and have fun right now. The United States fails last. So I'm not overly worried about it. The entire world is on fire when the United States goes down in our current environments as we live today. I'm not a big conspiracy guy. Why? Because they never happen. Virtually never. So why waste time and effort? And I remember people going back as early as the early 90s. Well, John, America's going to crash. Everything's going to be over. Why are you spending all your time building this huge portfolio of real estate? It's like, well, if it really hit it, and it really fell out, I'd rather have it fall out with millions of dollars in the bank and a large number of assets that paid me some income versus having nothing. Wall Street, last thing, they were debt players. They did their normal debt, which is the conforming loans, which are considered to be extraordinarily safe, that provide a low to a moderate rate of return. They underwrote that, but then they got greedy and they got in because they wanted to get in on the run. That's Wall Street. And so what they did is they invested in the debt, but it wasn't good debt, was it? They started doing all the bad debt, and they underwrote it, and they bought it, and there was a nice run, and they made a whole bunch of money, and then they gave it all back because the debt was toxic. This cycle, Wall Street didn't do that. They still underwrote the conforming loans, the federally insured loans. But then what they decided to do is, we were greedy, we want to get back in, but we're going to get it in a whole different way this time. We're going to get in on an equity play. In other words, we're not going to be the debtor, we're going to be the owner. So Wall Street bought huge amounts of real estate that they are holding for the long, long term. And that alone will add solidity to the market, and it gives us a higher possible bottom because they're not going to dump them if the market goes down. And yeah, I know what you want to do. You want to go, yeah, but Zillow doesn't know what they're doing. Wall Street doesn't know what they're doing. Zillow lost $780 million on paper. They're so stupid. They're so dumb. They're so bad. I don't understand what they do. Let's hold on to the last sentence because that's the one that counts. I don't understand. That's the only true statement made. You got to understand, I'm from Wall Street, guys. How they play the game is not how we play the game. Ours is checkbook economics. What does that mean? Hey, if there's money in the checkbook, my economics are good. Wall Street is the ones who buy huge buildings and leave them vacant for a decade. Why? Because they're trying to generate fees, and they work on a pro forma, meaning, hey, on paper, this building rents for $50 a foot. Fair market's $25. If I want to rent it next week, it's $20. But they list it as $50 a foot, leave it vacant for eternity, because they're paid based on the valuation of the real estate, an asset management fee. 2% is their standard fee. If they rent it for $20 a foot instead of 50, they devalue their asset from 50 to 30, which is a 60% devaluation in their fee. They don't play our game. So stop comparing what they do. And in my opinion, my professional opinion, Zillow was never, ever, ever about real estate. They announced that they were going to do real estate, and the stock went boom. They then started doing real estate, and the stock went through the roof. The stock went up like $20 billion. And they lost $780 million on paper, which didn't mean they lost $780 million. They lost $780 million on paper. And they're trying to accelerate and make that loss on paper as big as they can. Well, I don't know about you. I'd spend $780 million to get $20 billion. Would you? And if it makes it easier, just swap a couple zeros off it. Would you spend $780 to make $100,000, $200,000? Yeah, you would. Their plays are different than ours. Most of them, 98% of the operators on Wall Street, are not for profit. They are for fee. They're generating fees and commissions. So we can't look at what they do as apples and apples. What they did do is they helped the market move quite a bit, because markets move on emotions, not logic, and they made that market go up. And if you owned a lot of assets, you were probably happy. If you're a long-term player, you don't really care if they went up, because you're not selling anyhow. So first thing, why we don't have 2008 coming, although the market has shifted, is it's a 60 to 80 year occurrence. Second reason is Wall Street is not the big debtor of toxic debt. They are now the owner of the asset in large numbers, and they're not liquidating, they're just holding. They're just holding. Most of it's just holding. Blackstone just announced, some people are going, oh, well, I got to get people 20 and 40 and percent rate of return. You don't. Blackstone has just announced that they're going to begin their next raise for residential real estate, and they're going to be doing a 5% fixed rate. 5%. Basically, what they're doing is what we've taught for years. You need to beat treasuries to bring in good money. Treasuries, because big good money is more concerned with losing their money than they are making a huge rate of return, which usually blows up. And they understand large amounts of money you can't deploy at the same rate as small amounts of money. And they'll raise $10 billion to $100 billion, whatever they decide to raise. The money will pour in, because the money's just stripping out of traditional Wall Street equity products. Next thing we got going on, investors. So again, this is why 2008 isn't here. In 2008, this would have been a normal scenario. Sam, the investor, has 5 houses in Vegas. He put 0 down. He's into them for maybe 10 grand. All 5 houses. 10 grand. They just rolled closing costs, fees, no money down. We won't check the credit. We don't care. We'll just loan you the money. The toxic loans that Wall Street underwrit that really burned them bad, so they don't do them anymore. So they're into it for no money. Call it 10 grand. The mortgage, because interest rates were 7 3/4, 7.5 most of that run. The payment on the house is $1,400 a month. So they got $1,400 times 5, and they're renting for $1,200 a month. And because there was so much supply, because it was overbuilt. Remember, this whole market ran because we were undersupplied. The exact opposite, 180 degrees of 2008. Sorry, doomsayers. I hate to ruin your day with the truth. They walked away because you had 5 houses that on paper lost $200 a month if they were rented, and 3 are vacant, and there's so many houses that you're now losing $3,000-$4,000 a month, and you only put 10 grand in, and you figured you wouldn't get caught and have to pay the taxes on the debt relief. Boy, was that a surprise for some of them. And they walked away because there's nothing to lose. Today, reality 2022, same investor, 5 houses. He's into those 5 houses for $400,000 hard-earned cash. Put 20 to 25% down on all the properties. And today, because the interest rates were so low and rents are almost double what they were in 8 in most parts of the country, literally, they're now making $600, $800, $1,000 a month on every property every month. And they're all rented. Because there's a shortage of rentals, because we're in a shortage, not in a glut of inventory. So it's completely different. So the other thing, all these investors are going to walk away. No, they're not. They all have equity and they all have low interest loans. Why are they walking? Sorry, doomsayers selling the seminar land crapola course flavor of the week. Your lies aren't going to stick here. Next thing. There's going to be this glut of foreclosures, John. No, there isn't. Again, you can pick and choose the charts you want to paint your little story, but you need to look at the whole picture. Like the longer term chart, 1765, major crashes are 60 to 80 years apart, not back to back, never have been back to back. That Wall Street no longer underwrites massive toxic debt. They underwrite government insured debt. And conspiracy guys go where you want with that. The rest of us will like, hey, it's government insured. For what we can do and we can control, that's more than good enough. And then they became the large asset holder. They bought it and hold it, long-term player, adding stability to the market. Most investors and most homeowners right now have a fixed rate, low interest loan and equity. And that's just the truth. And that is not 2008 at all. We're completely, absolutely different. The other big thing is inventory. Although inventories are now growing somewhat, inventories are extraordinarily low compared to historical norms. Most markets, even with it raising in the last 6 months, most markets still have what would be below normal inventories. I think they're actually moving close to the new norm. Real estate agents just have been working on 20 and 30-year-old models so that we'd have 6 months of inventory, and I think the normal should be 2 months to 3 months, and that's where we're moving in most markets. Interest rates have risen quite a bit. However, historically, they're not high. They're not high historically. It does tighten numbers and make things there. So when we look at this market, we got to look at that what everybody's saying out there is just a lot of hype and noise. Markets move on emotion, not on facts and not on logic. Factually and logically, during Corona and all that stuff, the markets should not have done what they did. Factually, in 2006 and 7 and 8, the markets should not have ran as hard as they did. They also shouldn't have come down as much as they did. The markets run on emotion. So the big unknown that we always have out there, and if you're listening and you got a question, pop it in. This was a spontaneous broadcast here. But the big thing is that the markets move on emotion. And the emotion that's throughout the markets right now is fear. So what do we do as an investor? First thing we do is we learn that the most important asset you can bring to the table as an investor is good old-fashioned money, cash, capital, and the ability to borrow. It's why at our trainings, the next one is November 4th through 6th in Phoenix, Arizona. It's my last one of the year. I'm not doing another event until April of next year. Our students, and we have more Century Club members, that would be people with 100 houses in inventory performing than anybody who's ever taught on the face of the earth. It is not even close. And the reason is we, rather than what most seminars do, which is avoid the subject of money and try and figure out all the ways to buy real estate without money instead of figuring out how to get the money. I come from Wall Street, so we just get the money. Is to have money. To buy and coming out of a downturn, you need money and lots of it. And you have to have the money to perform, and your reputation, it matters a lot. So November 4th through 6th, the link's there. We're going to be teaching you exactly how to get the money that you need to buy all the houses you want. And look, I'm not talking hard money lenders or any of that crud. I've never used a hard money lender. I would never pay for a hard money lender. We raise money, and like Wall Street and real money people, not real estate people, real money people, when we raise money, we get paid. I get a placement fee of $10,000 per door on every door that I buy. The other night I was doing an AZ RIA Burley group, subgroup meeting that we do at once a month, and Tricia was there. Tricia, if you're at the November event, she'll be there. In the last 3.5 years, she bought 184 houses, and she's made $1.7 million in placement fees. She makes $73,000 a month cash flow, and her investors make $73,000 a month cash flow. That's what we're talking about. Real money, real deals, long term. I'm already finding right now today on MLS, looking at those several hundred houses, that there are several people right now today, they're not advertising it, but if you make the offer, they'll take 20 to 30% below what a fair MLS price is. Everybody? No. Most? Heck no. Some? Yes. And that's why you have to have money, guys. This is a real game. We're not looking to tie your house up, not perform while we try to assign it because it was worth $400 and we offered $398. Woohoo! And we're trying to find somebody to do it because the market's not going up, it's going down. Those games don't work. Most of the stuff that Seminar Land teaches, subs to, existing financing, owner financing, assignment, buying it wholesale and having it go up and then sell it, on a normal decade, those only work for 2 or 3 of the years. Only 20 to 30% of the time does that stuff that you and I were taught at Seminar Land work. It doesn't work most of the time. It's very, very hard. Yet let me just ask you right now, if you had money and the ability to borrow, could you go out right now today and make money in real estate? And the answer is yes. So that's what we do. We teach you how to raise the money. We show you exactly how to put together the list, exactly how to contact list, what the phone call is, what the script is when you meet them, and it's got nothing to do with what most people think it is. It's not about rate of return. Heck, right now, most people who want to place, their money has come out of the stock market and they are parked in cash, earning next to nothing. The whole goal has always been you just have to outperform treasuries on the income. That's it. This is how the game is really played, the big wheel, and I've done thousands and thousands and thousands. I personally raised over $600 million. My students have raised over $10 billion. At the event in November, we'll have several Century Club members. That's men and women with well over 100 houses in possession from our model because they learned to raise money. And yeah, we love subject to deals and owner financing deals and getting those really sweet lowball offers accepted so you can assign it or sell it or flip it. But that's not normal operations. That's not most deals. That's not where you find the real money. There's a reason why so many people who become real estate investors fail so horribly. Their model is extraordinarily flawed. So a real model, you come up with a great idea. Real estate's a great idea. Second thing you do in a real business is you raise the money first. Then you have a model, a method to monetize, meaning you get paid. So if you go to McDonald's, when you go to McDonald's, somebody put up all the money to buy it, then was properly trained. They actually, just in case you know, I've worked with a lot of McDonald's owners as capital investors, both in the security side and the real estate side, is you have to spend literally about a year of the next 2 years of your life on the ground outside of Chicago doing it because you need to be trained how to make the model work. Just like what we teach. And then they get monetizing because every time you buy a burger, you get paid. See, when we do a real estate deal, before I make the written offers to buy it, I've already made my $10,000 placement fee from the capital investor every single time. And on thousands of properties, it adds up. On hundreds, it adds up. Hey, on tens, it adds up. For some of you, just a couple a year, 20, 30,000 a year placement fees, plus ownership in a property going forward. That's how you build equity. This whole seminar stuff, start out doing assignments and then work up to do flips and then do rehabs and then 5 or 10 years later start keeping the houses as rentals is stupid. It's asinine. It's crazy. Why not just keep all the good deals you find now and get paid to buy them? We have weakness already on the price. And the more you make offers that are low, the more people are going to say yes, the more weakness the market is going to create, and it's self-fulfilling. There's already people dumping prices right and left, but they're just coming down to what the value should be. So if you have the money, I would aggressively be making offers for cash or down payment and a new loan at the interest rates. They are what they are. Historically, they're still very low. If you're a veteran, you're not upset. You know what to do. It's just, gee, I wish I'd bought more. Which is always the veterans. I was asked the other night, John, if you had to do it over again, what's your one big regret? And it's like, first of all, I don't have big regrets because big regrets are a complete, entire waste of time. I cannot undo what has occurred. I can just not repeat it. But if I was to look back at, the first big, huge run we did in the early, mid-'90s, all the houses we bought, which was more than anybody in the entire county and state, I'd have bought more. And then, following the other big one, the 2006, 7, 8 downturn, I went into the fourth quarter of 8 buying big and buying institutionally. If I had to do it over again, I'd have bought more. When I bought overseas during a downturn and crash, if I had to do it over again, I'd have bought more. Always I'd have bought more. So we're going to teach you November 4th to 6th how to raise the money. We're going to teach you how you make the phone call to set the appointment, how you set up the list, and then the script you follow step by step, step by step. We're going to show you the spreadsheet you do, how to draw it, and we're going to show you the matrix. And on the Burley matrix, we factually, come in November and you'll see it, we make 35 to 70% per annum per property over and over and over again for 33 years. We ain't trailblazing. We ain't inventing a new wheel. We ain't figuring it out. We know what we're doing. We know exactly how we're doing. And that's rolling out all the components in. That's the tax savings. That's the first year tax benefits under Section 179. That's Section 199A, which exempts 20% of our income from taxation. That's the long-term depreciation. That's our income from rentals. That's increasing the income over the years. That's a normal growth rate, which is like a 3.5%, 4%, not 15 or 20% crazy Looney Tune numbers that, every 20 years show up for 2 years and then go away for another 18 years like we just had. So we're going to show you how to really do it. First thing, we're going to make offers. First thing, raise money. Second, make offers for well below market. Find the bottom. You're looking for the small ones. You're looking for a couple percent in today's market with it increasing. But unlike 2019 or 20 or 21 or early 22, I can now take a $300,000 house, offer 220, and most will say no, but some will say yes, or some will say maybe, or geez, how about 240 or 250 on a $300,000 house? So I can start making those offers again and get them accepted like the good days, because they only work during certain windows. We got a window right now coming. The next thing we have the subject to. Subject to is just taking control of the existing financing. It's technical. There's ways to do it. We have a very specific way. We do not use the land trust model because there's a lot of flaws to that model, in my professional opinion, having done more than anybody who's currently teaching it. And what I do is I just buy it directly into my entity, and we take control, and I call it existing financing because subject to, going back to 1990s, had a negative connotation, especially with attorney general's offices and district attorney's offices, people who I don't want to attract attention and or be their enemy. And what we're going to do is we're going to start looking for people who need to get out, who are willing to just walk away from their loan. Now, it's not a bonanza yet. And the reason is most of those people with those great low interest loans have a lot of equity. They don't need us yet. Some do, not a ton. I'm just telling you the truth. I'd love to tell you that every single person out there is going to be in foreclosure and they're all underwater and they're all desperate to sign our properties over. Buy my course. But that's not the truth. It's just not the truth. And anybody who tells it to you is lying to take your money. Real estate investing, guys, is work. It's always been work. It'll always be work. The cool thing is right now is we're entering again the open. So the market isn't shifting. It has shifted. It's just a matter of how far it goes on the shift. What shifts first is the emotion. The emotion has completely changed from one of greed, of I'm going to get rich in real estate, to one of fear, I don't want to lose our money. We as the real estate investor, we're on the opposite side of the fence. When everybody else is greedy, we need to be fearful and cautious, which we have been. We've been teaching you to be so. Now that everybody is fearful, we need to be greedy and move into the market and position ourselves to take advantage. We are on the opposite side of the normal emotion. And that's what you need to get. You need to understand your own motion. We spend a lot of time at the event talking about our own psychology and our own emotions and why we don't do what we should do when we should do it. We've got a window. It's here now. It's opened. And it's going to continue to be open. The time to start is now. The other thing is the time to raise that money is now. You don't want to raise the money a year or 18 months from now when the market's down at its bottom, because then the fear is so high, most people won't give you money. They're still missing out from Wall Street and the stock market, so you have a chance to move the money and place it. And we're experts at that. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it November 4th through 6th. Click on the link and check it out. And it's a very low entry, this event. Very low, very moderate. It's $347 for 3 days of high-end content, and you get to bring a guest. So, raise money first. If you don't have money, learn how to raise money first. If you don't have money, almost all the time and effort you spend trying to buy real estate without money is a complete, utter waste of time, including if you're doing subject to transactions. Because, guys, it's not 1980 or 90. It's not like this is a $50,000 loan and their payments are $500 and they're 2 months behind. You do $1,000 and then take out a title insurance policy for 1% of 50 grand, and then put a couple grand into cleaning it and give them a couple grand to move, and you're in debt for 6 grand, 8 grand, 10 grand, 12 grand. That's the old numbers. The reality is today, for most of us, that house is $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. 1% for a title insurance policy. I know a bunch of yahoos tell you not to take out a title insurance policy. They're yahoos. Nobody buys real estate without title insurance, who knows what they're doing, who has weathered the storms, and has a highly, highly profitable company like we do. Because things do go wrong. It's a small amount of insurance. You just pay for it. And they don't have money to make their payments, so they ain't making the closing costs for you. And you're going to have to make a back payments now that are, $1,000+ a month, not little money. So sub-2 deals now, even if they're just walking, you're talking $15,000 to $25,000, and usually today they're going to want a little bit of money for them on top of that. So again, we're back to you need money, so let's figure out how to raise the money first, then do the real estate. Money's what counts. Money's what counts. It's why most real estate investors, and heck, it's why most businesses fail. It's not because they had a bad idea. It's because they didn't raise adequate money, and then they didn't have a system to get paid up first. And remember, with our model, you get $10,000 up front on every single property that you do. So that's kind of the big overview for you there. The market's not set up for 2008. Let's talk interest rates. They're high and they're going to continue to go up. This administration, and it's not a pick on a Democrat time, sorry for some of you. This administration is doing exactly what every administration who faced inflation has done, Democrat or Republican. They pushed the interest rate button too many times, too fast, too quick. And I've actually been in the Oval Office once. The president wasn't there. My godfather, who's long passed away, was the general manager of the U.S. Department of Interior, which is one of the 13 government branches, offices. And he ran that, and he had enough political clout that he was able to get me into the White House for a private tour, including we got to step in and look at the desk in the Oval Office. I didn't sit down on it. I didn't lean it. I didn't touch it. Yes, there was a security person there with us. If the president had been there, I would have met him, but he wasn't. I can imagine, though, what the meetings are like in the Oval Office with this or any other president. Mr. President, yes, sir, we have inflation. We can raise interest rates. Here's the different tools available. Interest rates is one. And yes, sir, 0.5 point, 3/4 point, a full point. We can raise it at that basis. Let's raise the interest rates. But, sir, after we raise them, we need to wait 6 months, because it takes 6 months to see whether or not it worked. And the problem is, well, they got elections, they got polls, we got the November election, so they get in there and just push the button, and they bring them in. Hey, we raised rates, how come it didn't change? Mr. President, it's only been 3 weeks, sir. We told you it would be 6 months before we can tell. Well, let's just raise them again. And so then they end up raising them and raising them and raising them. Now, fortunately, we only had one Jimmy Carter, who was literally intellectually probably the smartest man to ever live in the White House, who raised interest rates to 19%. Boy, that didn't work. Between that and Iran, he didn't get reelected, did he? So, the interest rates are going to go up. This is where you need to understand the good and bad of historical. Historical, going back to 1765, the average long-term interest rate for real estate in the United States of America is 9.4. 9.4. I'm a veteran. I started when it was 16 and peaked at 19. We did owner carries at 10 to 12, and we're happy to get them. We can still make the numbers work really, really great on long-term holds at the numbers we're at today, that 6, that 7 range, that 8 range. And hey, once it peaks at 8, which is probably coming, 10's not far away. And because we look at things 180 degrees from the rest of the market, we're contrarians. Quite frankly, the interest rates go up, we make more money because the competition goes away and the prices go down. And I heard somebody, I was reminded of it just this morning. I was doing a consult with our Burley Black Card program. And one of our students who's done quite a few deals, actually John, just his name's John. He just retired out a few months ago from his job because of his real estate that he learned to do through us. One of his clients said, "Well, you date the rate and you marry the real estate." The idea being you want to buy the real estate well. You want to buy the right property in the right area for the right reasons for the long term. But the interest rate, if it sucks right now, you're just dating the rate. Because down the road, what goes up will come down. They can get a better rate. Got to make money today. Got to work today. Got to be positive cash flow. We need to buy better, but we can buy well. And you can still, right now, in my market, I can pull up MLS and I can buy houses for 100% of retail at 7% interest and cash flow them for a great rate of return all day long. Now, I prefer to buy better than retail, but I can buy at retail and make money. And so this game is incredibly easy, but it all comes back to understanding money. And the sooner we move out of denial, and I was in denial for several years early in my career because I went to the seminars and they were all the same. You don't need money. You can do real estate without money or credit. It's like, well, that sounds good. They just forgot to tell you that it's extraordinarily hard and their specific niches only work in down markets and not very well in other markets. I mean, there's an exception or two out there, but not many. And you don't build your portfolio on that. You build your portfolio the old-fashioned way. If you want a real portfolio that stands for decades, like mine and so many of my students, then come to see us on November 4th to 6th in Phoenix, Arizona. The link's there. It's 347, 3 days, high-end, full-blown content. We don't have guest speakers coming in. I have one guest speaker. I have an attorney coming in who sells nothing, who shows you how to really structure things properly, not some of the stuff that seminars teach, which are just not right and not true and extremely expensive. And too many times in my life, I've met students like, yeah, I've got 4 or 5 or 6. And I'm thinking they're going to say properties, and they're going entities. I'm like, you have 6 entities? Yeah. How many houses? None. Okay, should be no. That's not how we do it. So he's a non-selling attorney who speaks for 2 hours. We take a field trip to my office. I'm in my office now. This is the upstairs of my office. This is my private office. But we bring you here to my bricks and mortar real estate investment company. Because if you're really running a big portfolio, you have a bricks and mortars real estate office, with employees and staff. Not phone rooms for a bunch of seminar people, but real estate employees and staff like we have. And then we do an expert panel where I have Century Club members, living, breathing, real graduates of our program who have 100+ houses. And we have them up and we just do a panel and you guys ask them questions all day long as much as you want. We start at 9, end at 6, but we usually are working for a couple hours before 9 and a couple to several hours after 9. So it's a very, very inclusive, lots and lots of content. And what we're going to be talking about today is specifically what we do. I do 3 public events a year. I'm not doing another one until next April. I do 3 a year. This is the last year. I don't have another one until next April. My students always tell me that me being the founder and CEO of a profound and prolific private equity company is good and bad. It's good because I really and truly know what I'm doing because it's what I do every day. It's bad because I run it and do it. I'm not available to educate very often because, the reality, guys, just the truth is if I'm running around the country 30, 40, 50 weeks a year teaching how to do investing, am I really at home investing? Nah. Am I really in touch with what's happening in the market? No. Am I living in the real world? No. I'm in seminar land. The reason we call it seminar land because at seminars everything works until you step out the door and step into the real world where I live and operate from. So this event's never been done before. It'll never be repeated because the market will never be the same. We're going to go through exactly in much greater detail. So if you like this conversation, we're going to continue this. We're going to go through this in much greater detail, exactly what we're doing in November of 2022. To raise money, how we pivoted our approach, how we've pivoted the script, what we've changed, If there are new I's to dot or T's to cross, make sure we're in complete compliance. I'm from Wall Street, so I'm a compliance guy, unlike too many of the real estate people who are non-compliance guys. And we're just going to go through step by step. So we're going to start out the first morning. We're going to go through, look, this is the Burley property. This is the profile. This is how it looks. This is what it is. And we'll show you the numbers. This is how we get the money, starting with this is the phone call and the exact script you use on the phone call. This is the presentation and the exact script for the presentation. I cover it all for you. This is the house model that we do and how we present the house model to the potential capital investor. We cover how to get the list, how to expand the list, how to grow the list, how to make the list more affluent, and how you do that for yourself forever. We don't pretend we're going to give you money that we don't have to give you. We teach you how to get your own money forever, which is why I have so many Century Club members, because they learned how to get money forever. That we're then going to show you in great detail how we buy the house, how we make our offers, how we do the financial side, how we do the creative financing deals, how we dot the I's and cross the T's. A lot of states are highly litigious. I'm on the West Coast. We have to do a lot more compliance than you East Coast boys and girls. A lot more out here than the East Coast. And it used to be in the old days, things started in New York and then kind of waved this way as far as how the changing rules work. Now things start on the West Coast and come over to the East Coast. And so we need to be aware of that. We need to understand what's happening down the pipeline, what rules and what regs are coming to your house in your town, and how you position yourself to take care of them. We do the field trip. You have the attorney, lots and lots and lots of content, no guest speakers selling, and we have a high-end program, and we'll tell you about it late afternoon, early evening of the second day, and the rest is just content, 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 content. We love what we do. We'd love you to be a part of it and learn more. I'm really excited about the opportunities that we have in the market right now. And again, contrarian. Almost all great investors in history are contrarians. They don't ride the wave of the masses. They do the exact opposite of the masses. When everybody's in, they're out. When everybody's getting out, they're getting in. The contrarians, the really big boys and girls, the men and women who make this industry the great industry that it is, we are stepping up now and increasing our positions and our volume as we, on a micro level, buy the properties that make sense for us today. We'll also be talking about commercial. We have an expert coming in who not only owns apartments, but he builds them, and we're going to go through that. We also, same guy does storage units, which are amazing as long as your area is not oversaturated. So we're going to talk about the commercial side. We're going to talk about multi-units. We're going to just share with you what we do. The field trip will be great because you can see deals that we're doing live here in the office and give you a real feel for what a real deal looks like and how it works. And then just the countless hours that you can spend with successful investors who are actually doing it is amazing. So I'm really, really excited about the upcoming November event. If you guys like this talk, give us some feedback. And we look forward to seeing you in November. And if I don't see you in November, I'll see you again online soon. This is John Burley saying thank you and God bless. I'll see you soon. Take care.